Cool. Hi, guys. Thanks very much for coming.
Hey, James, thanks for coming here today to Build. We're so happy to have you.
Well, you know, I was in London, and then someone offered me some chicken wings here in New York, and I thought I'd get on a plane.
Well, we definitely have lots of chicken wings in New York, so it's... Well, okay, so first of all, congrats on the upcoming album, The Afterlove. You teased on your Twitter page that, if you thought 2016 was bad, just wait till 2017 because your album's coming out.
Be afraid.
Yeah, be afraid.
Be very afraid.
Why should we be afraid of this album?
Well, I don't think you should really. I'm excited about it. You know, it's taken me longer than I've ever taken making an album. This has taken 2 years in the making. Normally I write 25 songs, and for this I've written 100 songs. And it's been a dream team of writers for me. I've worked with the likes of Ryan Tedder, who's the lead singer of OneRepublic. I was like a groupie to him, jumped on his tour bus and traveled the world, and we wrote songs in different places. And I never had to put out with the band, but you know, it was an amazing experience. Some amazing songs, and I've written with Ed Sheeran on this, which has been an amazing experience too. Some guys who write for The Weekend in Los Angeles. MoZella, who's a girl who wrote Wrecking Ball. And so for me, it's been a dream team. And it sounds different, this album, and it sounds exciting.
Yeah, what did teaming up with them bring to the album that you may not have done on your own?
I think it just means I didn't repeat the same 4 chords over and over. And yeah, just brought an energy. It was fun. You know, when I was writing with Ryan Tedder in his hotel room at kind of, late at night, we were just, messing around in a different style than I would normally do. And I suppose saying things I wouldn't be comfortable saying normally, and you'll hear that when I play my first song. And then someone came and banged on the door in the middle of the night and asked us to shut up, and then as we opened the door, they spot it's Ryan Tedder from OneRepublic and me, and they think that's some kind of weird romantic moment that we're having, and he looks shocked, and Ryan looked embarrassed, and I didn't, because I'm used to being told to shut up with my music. So it was a fun, interesting experience.
Speaking of which, you say you've been asked to shut up with your music. I mean, why would you say that? Because it was, at one point you would say it was played out at some point, because you kind of allude to that in some of your tweets and everything.
Yeah, well, of course, in the States here, I'm most known for a song that got played a hell of a lot on the radio, till maybe it was frustrating to hear anymore. And so, yeah, I know that. I allude to that in my single.
Yeah, you do actually, in the first single, Love Me Better, you actually have a line that says that, something about you're beautiful. So with that song, do you feel as though the meaning of it has been misunderstood on some level? Of
You're Beautiful, definitely.
Yeah?
I think you guys, you see me as maybe a serious, earnest guy who writes romantic songs that get played at weddings, but actually I'm misunderstood. The song is about a guy who is high as a kite on something in a subway, stalking someone else's girlfriend, and a little bit creepy. Probably should be locked up and in prison. But you guys, for something else, it's a really romantic song, and I think you're weird for thinking that.
But when that song hit, I can't tell you how many times I played it out myself. It was
so you're a weirdo.
I'm a weirdo. I'm a weirdo too, because
But it's good, if you like stalking people, like I do, we've got something in common.
I think we have something in common. It's been a little while.
And so yeah, I used to be an army officer. I was a reconnaissance. So my job in that time was to creep around in bushes and spot the enemy. And I've really used that in my new career as a musician. I like to creep around in bushes and see what people are up to through their windows.
But you're not a one-hit wonder. We heard before we got on stage here, it's not like that was your only hit. You had Goodbye My Lover, so you've had other songs on, so it's just...
Yeah, and I've been really lucky. I've been really lucky around the world. I do world tours, but definitely in the States, I'm known for one big one, which is no bad thing. Like I always say, on my Twitter bio, one song is all you need. Pays the bills.
I'm sure it does. But you don't regret that at any stage. You don't regret that song, or are you angry toward it? It seems like you're in a good place right now.
No, it's without it we wouldn't be talking now. I get to tour the world, as a result from it. I've got a big house as a result too, yeah. And yeah, it's fun. People buy tickets to my concerts because they want to hear the songs that they know, and they do know 1973, and they do know Goodbye My Lover, and maybe they know Bonfire Heart. But of course, most people know and want to hear You're Beautiful. And for me, it's a pleasure to play in a concert, mainly because it's almost the end of the concert, then it's nearly time for a beer. But yeah, it's a good moment.
Okay, going back to this new record, it's a bit of a new sound. Can you talk a little bit about the sound on this album versus, you've had albums in between, but versus your first album and kind of everything that led up to this one?
Yeah, I'm kind of known as this English singer-songwriter playing miserable songs. And that's cool, because misery sells. but it's time, I suppose, to leave those 4 albums of those miserable songs behind to a degree, and record in a different way. And so I've been writing and recording, using, I suppose, just different recording techniques, and rather than being influenced by the past, being influenced by the people who I'm with in the room at the time.
What about, since your last record, you've gotten married and you've have a son now. How much of that influenced any of your writing or your approach to this album?
Yeah, you can hear it in the different lyrics that I've different songs. I wrote a song with Ed Sheeran. I took him skiing actually to Switzerland. He hadn't skied before, but I took him then, and I was his ski instructor by day, and by night he taught me how to write songs. And one of the things he said is, "Come on, James, you need to be more open with your lyrics. You were really open in your first album, and then you kind of closed up a bit after the kind of intrusion." So he said, "We're going to write about your current situation and the family things that have happened to you." So really, that song is it's called "Make Me Better," and it's probably the sweetest song that Ed Sheeran has ever written. My wife.
Oh. You're funny. I have to say, you're very clever. You're very funny. It comes through on your Twitter page, and it comes through in all of his songs, but especially "Love Me Better" song. The video for which is you're in a club essentially, and you end up with a woman at the end. What's the takeaway from that video? What would you want fans, or what do you take away from it?
Yeah, we the video is in a club. It's in a really romantic place called Watford in the UK, which you should promise me you will never go to. I don't know what I could compare it to in the States, but it's pretty miserable. And in the video we've got a really load of hot, tall girls, and I'm not especially tall, so we made it me even smaller. I'm like a midget in the video, and I'm judged harshly by these people, but it doesn't matter, because at the end I get the girl, and it's not about the tallest, hottest, but it's about the one with the biggest smile and the biggest heart.
See, that's sweet. So you still have a bit of sweetness to you, even though you've got that little edge about you as well that you're trying to show in this new record. That's for sure. Yeah, a little bit, just a touch. Where are you living these days?
I live in Ibiza.
Yeah.
Which you will have heard of. I like nightclubs, and so I moved there.
Does it ever get old for you, the nightclub scene?
No.
No, you still enjoy it?
Yeah, I do. I have a nightclub at the end of my garden, in fact. Called a big neon sign. It says Blunty's Nightclub, where everybody's beautiful.
Okay, let's go back to your Twitter account. How do these things come up you're known as like the Twitter king here. Like, how do you come up with these ideas? How easy for you does it come? And where do you get your inspiration? Does it happen at what points?
Yeah, well, we take Twitter so seriously. It makes the news what people write. And really, once upon a time, we were told that if you should keep your opinion to yourself, or if you haven't got anything nice to say, then don't say it at all. And Twitter seems to allow people to forget that and just say pretty mean things. And yet we seem to focus on those negative things. And I'm asked a lot, "Oh, hey, you got a bit of grief online. So-and-so doesn't like your music." And yet I can play concerts to 5,000 people, or in Europe, 10,000 people or 20,000 people. And yet I'm asked saying, "Hey, people don't like your music." Well, of 20,000 people who, bought a ticket, and it's, they earned money to go and buy that ticket in the first place, got a train ticket to come and see it, queued up for hours, and yet I'm asked always about, this dude doesn't like your music, and I read his tweet, and are you going to be upset? But for me, it's worth remembering that guy who sent that negative tweet is probably a lonely dude with the curtains closed at home, up in his bedroom with his trousers around his ankles, writing me, a few nasty words, saying, "I don't like your song." And I think it's worth us, in the real world, laughing at ourselves for taking anything negative online but seriously. We should all have a sense of humor about it, and so I just go on Twitter and laugh at myself, abuse myself just slightly more than anyone else.
So you don't let any of that you let it roll off your back at this point in your life?
Well, I think if you put music out, you're in a military term, if you put your head above the parapet, you expect to get shot at.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're making yourself vulnerable, putting your music out there. I guess, you have to be accepting the criticism and the positive. So for every person that, criticizes you, I'm sure you get a lot of fans who are like, "James, like, you meant this to me. This song meant this much to me." How often does that happen to you? A fair whack, like you say, we focus on the negatives, and I sometimes think I'm disrespectful to the
20 million people who bought albums of mine. And so, yes, so most of the people I meet on the street are incredibly kind and positive and very nice about the songs that they might know of mine.
Do you have a favorite song off of this record?
Yeah, I have two songs which I love. One I wrote with Ryan Tedder, and we had a choice. We had a couple of ideas. I played them to my record label. One of them sounded like my old stuff, or a bit like Damien Rice or David Gray, and the other sounded like Akon. And the record label said, you need to play the one, you know, write and record, finish off the one that sounds like Damien Rice and David Gray. That's, you know, your mainstay. And I played it to Ryan Tedder, and he said, stuff that, man. Get on a plane. We're going to sound like Akon now. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting when you hear this.
Are you nervous for fans to actually hear, you know, we've heard a couple of songs. How are you nervous for fans to hear the whole album?
Well, I think it's such a diverse album that, yeah, some things won't be to everybody's taste. But there's definitely going to be a song on there for everyone.
When you first put out, your first album was 2004, No One Knew Your Name, and then you were thrust to fame really pretty much, you know, within a year or something like that. How did that affect you?
It was cool. I got to go on tour for, around the world, you know, a world tour. That's an amazing statement. I thought I was just going to be doing tours of North London. So to be going on a world tour, and I've done 4 of them since that, has been a pretty cool experience.
What was the point where you knew, okay, I've made it? This song, you know, I know You're Beautiful wasn't the first single released off that record in the States, but at what point did you say, okay, this is the turning point, people know me and your name?
You know, I don't really know. We just did some concerts and they got bigger. And, you know, it was the same band and crew that had been playing in tiny little places, and we just had to kind of, you know, scale up. And, yeah, you know, we talk about it as, you know, successes like fame and fortune. It's not. It's just about, you know, it's about how much fun you're having doing a job. And if there are a few people turning up to your concerts and you're touring and you're keeping yourself in business, that's pretty cool. That'll do for me.
Are you still having fun?
I'm having too much fun.
Did you have a lot of fun making this record, even though it took 2 years?
It's been a dream team. I've had 4 albums, and they feel like they're a different music career. And this has been, you know, a new step off. I went away after the 4 albums, after my tour, and I went to Australia, lived in Australia for a bit. A couple of things, like you've mentioned, happened, like getting married and having a kid. And then, yeah, and I went back into the music business, made an album that I love, of songs that I'm excited by. Normally, when I finish an album, I never want to hear it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this one I'm still enjoying, and my friends have told me, hey, James, we don't have to lie to you this time. We actually like these songs. So that's a good sign.
That is a really good sign. Have you shared the album with a lot of your friends and family at this point? The whole record?
Yeah. You know, I only finished it, a couple of weeks ago, and so yeah. So I'm now starting to play it to a few people.
Okay. Well, we're going to hear a couple of songs today. That's for sure. So we're excited about that. I know that you said you wrote like 100 songs or something for this. How do you whittle that down, aside from just saying, okay, I like this one?
Yeah, I mean, normally I'd write 25 for a 10-song album. You record them, and then you're just kind of, okay, the last number 9 and number 10 on the album, you're struggling to know if it's good enough for that. But writing 100 songs, I just know that, okay, this was easy choosing the best 10, and I know that they're really solid songs. It just meant the level of you know, the standard was that much higher.
Do you think we'll ever hear the rest of those, or a couple of other ones, maybe on a B-side or something?
You know, if you're thinking of getting into the music business, I will happily sell you a spare song just lying around, unwanted. I can't guarantee it's any good, but, you know, have it.
Were most of those finished, completed tracks?
Yeah. They're all done.
All right, so maybe one will pop out. Do you think traveling around, you know, to write and record sort of influenced what this record became?
Absolutely. To jump on a plane from Venice, to fly to Amsterdam, to drive to Rotterdam, to meet Ryan Tedder for the 3 hours before he jumps on his own stage means you've got to work fast, and you've got to be, you know, saying something pretty direct, and there's no time to overthink. It's about gut and instinct, and that's made the songs really exciting. Yeah,
well, Ryan Tedder, he's produced so many albums for people and songs for people, and he's also in OneRepublic, so he does, you know, he knows what
he works for other people.
Yeah, well, only you. Oh, sorry to break it to you.
That's amazing. Oh, damn. I thought he and I were like that.
I'm sorry to break the bad news.
Oh, dear.
Ed Sheeran does team up with other people too. I'm sorry.
You're really.
Yeah, I know.
You're really ruining
everything
for me. I thought I was special.
It's one of those things, right? So, okay, you're taking this on. You're going on another world tour. What can we expect on the road?
Yeah, I start a world tour pretty soon, and it's 18 months. I sleep on a tour bus with 12 men every night. Some of them quite smelly, some of them very noisy. But yeah, we go around the world, and we'll hit the States at some point soon.
Glamorous or not glamorous at all?
It's not especially glamorous.
Right,
no.
right. It's like it takes its toll.
Yeah, but it's a hell of a lot of fun.
What's the best and worst part about touring?
I get to do the most amazing thing. You know, and we live in a world where our politicians really just try and divide us, divide and rule, and they just point out our differences all the time, from black and white and Muslim, Christian, Jew, and man and woman and gay and straight. And music is just entirely the opposite. It is about people coming together, whatever they look like, are like, whoever they love. And music is a pretty special thing that, you know, people could congregate together. They travel miles to come and sing songs, and normally whatever they look like, they go, yeah, I feel the same human emotion. And that's that's why I think doing my job is pretty special.
I think that you brought up a good point. We're in a really interesting time right now. Has that influenced you at all with Brexit and what's going on in the States?
Yeah, totally. I've got a song on my album called Someone Singing Along, and it's about the things that that are being discussed in politics at the moment. And actually that maybe I don't see our differences, I see our similarities.
You are also a big proponent of the environment, and that's something that's been, you know, topical right now. I mean, why do you think it's even more important now than ever to kind of get the word out about, you know, such an important issue?
Well, I split my time between Ibiza in the summer and Switzerland in the winter, and everyone who lives there, local farmers, will say our climate is changing dramatically, and it is getting warmer. And in the Alps, all the snow is going, and the glaciers are pulling back. And you know, anyone in any form of scientific will say. Level will say, you know, this is happening, and it's so clear that it is happening because of us. And it would be in our own interests to resolve that economically, as well as, as well as lifestyle-wise. So it's entirely in our own interests to fix these things now.
Right, right. What do you think can be done?
Well, we need to convert all cars to electric straight off. We need to go sustainable with our energy. We need to stop digging coal out of the ground, and we need to use something so obvious like the sun. This is technology, and it's these things, and wind. These things should be done, and they should be done now.
So the Afterlove is the title of the album, but it's not a song on the album.
No, so I give all my albums their own title, and from this I took it from you won't know the band. It's a band called KLF, and they have an awesome phrase in it, "After the love is gone," and I kind of felt that applied to every single song on my album, and that seemed like a long title, so I just shortened it to the Afterlove.
I like it. So that's kind of goes back to the theme. In a way, even though the songs are diverse, that's kind of the theme, potentially.
Exactly, yeah. It's, you know, love found, love lost, it's that thing.
And that's something that everybody can relate to. And I think that's what your music really resonates. Because even if, you know, You're Beautiful really was about a stalker person, someone else felt like it really resonated with them for another reason, even if that was a stalker thing.
Yeah.
I got what that meant back in the day, because I felt that. I was in New York at the time, and you know, you love at first sight is a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a special moment for me, even though I was a little inebriated. But yeah, you know, I saw her, she saw me, we caught eyes, we lived a lifetime in that moment. I didn't do anything about it. She thought I was a weirdo. I got a good song out of the whole thing.
But it was a real story. It was
real story.
Yeah, I mean.
And they're all real stories.
Yeah, and with this album, is it all real stories too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Is it the type of thing where you write down your inspiration like on a pad and paper or like your phone these days? Where do you get your inspiration from, and how do you channel it?
You know, just about everyday things. There's a song called, you know, Lose My Number. Did you forget to call me? Or baby, did you lose my number? It's that kind of thing. Yeah. You know, the usual thing that you. Again, that sounds a little stalkerish, doesn't it?
Yeah. We're going to watch out. James Bond. It's one of those things where like, wait, what's going to happen here?
Yeah.
So, okay, so this album's just coming out. You know, the last album was for 3 or 4 years since, like, the last record came out. Do you think you'll wait that long for the next James Blunt album?
Yeah, I mean, it takes me time because I go on tour for 18 months.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 18-month tour now. Maybe I'll take a couple of weeks holiday to wash my clothes when I get back, but then and then a year or so to make an album. So
what do you, aside from clubbing in Ibiza, what else do you do in your downtime?
If I'm at home in the mountains, I love to ski. If I'm down on the ocean in Ibiza, then I do like nightclubs, but I'll go for surfing and windsurfing, diving and stuff like that.
That's cool. So you ended up in music, but you did have that stint in the military. How do you think that shaped you as a person today?
Well, I used to go to places in a tank. and with my guitar strapped to the outside, and I'm going to go to pretty dangerous places. Now I travel the world with a team in the same way. I had a little team of people in a troop of soldiers from all walks of life and reliant on each other. And now I kind of do the same thing. Instead of a troop of soldiers, they're a band and a crew. They're all experts in their field. The tank is a little bit more comfortable. It's called a tour bus, and places we go to are just a little bit safer.
But you're bonding just like you did back in the day.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
way. At what point did you know, music is my thing? I got to ditch this other situation.
I think since I was probably 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I knew I was going to do the army already because they paid for my school and university, but I knew that I wanted to become a musician.
Okay, well, great. Well, we're winding down here. I'd love to get some questions from the crowd before we hear you perform, which we're very excited about. Who's up first?
That's me.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. Sorry. All right. So you were actually my first concert that I ever went to. I was 10 years old in Camden, New Jersey, and I saw you playing the guitar, and I saw a lot of cute girls. I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. And I picked up the guitar because of you, so I have you to thank for that.
Well, thank you so much. Good luck to you doing it as well.
Also, so my question is, the first song that I heard by you was High. My question is, what inspired that song?
Yeah. It's kind of in the title. No, but I think it's about, it's about being with someone and that elation of being with someone and that connection with someone, and it's as good as any drug out there.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you for that question. Next.
Hey, you were talking about incorporating more reality and storytelling in your lyrics, and I was wondering if comedy influenced that at all, and if you've actually thought about doing comedy offline.
When the job of music really dries up, then maybe I will, if the bills are still coming in. But no, I love my day job, and I will stick to that. But I think you can hear in this album there's a bit more humor and irony in the songs, whereas in the previous albums there's only they're all quite earnest. And so yeah, I've enjoyed messing around in this album.
Cool. Any other questions? Great.
Hey James, thank you for being here. What was the craziest fan experience you ever had?
Well, I had to be quite careful because they're still out there. And particularly in America, you had to be careful because you guys have guns. And yeah, I'm serious. Sometimes you're a little scary out there. Some really, okay, I don't know, I might start crying at this stage. A few. They might be watching. Hi. Okay, I'm going to go for a UK one so that you're not offended.
There you go.
Whichever camera I'm looking down. So let's go for a UK one instead of a US one. Someone has sent me a box of my life, a little, it's a wooden box. It's like a room, and everything in it is scaled down to from 1 to 14, so it's tiny. And in that box it has a piano and a guitar, and like the hat that we had in my school uniform, and the awards, and every book I've ever mentioned I've ever read in the bookshelf, and every album I've ever put out, and every album I've ever said that I've listened to in the CD rack. And copies of items of clothing. I said that I like chicken wings. There are boxes of chicken wings that get sent to me through management in the post, all scaled down. And the only thing missing from the box is a miniature me. And one day I think I'm going to wake up shrunk and in the box. And that will be like, my own personal hell. So yeah, that's one of the things. But there are many more, and you know who you are.
Wow, that's intense. I don't even know if I believe you, James.
I'm totally serious.
But let's hope you live to see another day, and us too. That's even scarier than the stalker story, and you're beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for all those questions. James, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you so much for
the
having
interview.
me.
The Afterlove is out on March 24th in the States. And another round of applause for James Blunt.
Excellent.